Hi everyone, you're welcome to Esther's Banquet. So let's get to it. Um, a while back, my sister called me and she was, I was like, "What's going on with you?" And she said that the Gatesman's family normally comes every year from the core north, and they spend time with him, and they go back after a month or so. And the eldest daughter came this year, and that she just looks really different, and that the father has been yelling at her for no apparent reason. That she just keeps shouting at her, and the girl keeps getting uncomfortable and looking scared. And from her house, she could hear the shout, the constant shout and everything. And although they are speaking Hausa, but she's able to just know something is off. So we're talking about it, and I laughed and I told her, I said, "How old is she?" And she said, the girl is about 13 years now, going on 14. I said, "How does she look?" That curiously enough, that a year ago she looked really small, but now she's suddenly taller and just looks different, a bit more older, in age. She's grown. I said, "That is it." And she was like, "How do you mean?" I'm like, the father suddenly realized his little daughter is growing up, and he knows there is a conversation to be had, but he doesn't know how to have it. And he's scared, and he's reacting by shouting and screaming at the girl. My sister was like, "Oh, that she never thought of it like that." I'm like, yes, parents can tell when their daughters are beginning to grow and have that puberty, that look that makes them just look like they are no longer the little girls that they used to be. They are older. The of course, breast is growing out, coming up. Their hips are getting fuller. That whole puberty look, it's happening, and oftentimes parents don't know how to address this because growing up themselves when they were kids, their parents never, especially in the part of the world in Africa, right? Their parents never had this conversation with them also. So how do you give what you don't have? So some parents choose the whole aggressive behavior because they are really worried, because they now know, if I can notice my daughter is looking different, that means other men will start to notice her, and they don't even know how to protect. So this is an issue. And as someone who goes out a lot for outreaches, to schools and to meet with young girls and boys, teenagers, we have this conversation. An outstanding problem always remains that the girls share, that they don't have that safe space at home to share their experience, the, the questions they have about their body, the changes they're experiencing, the fact that they are beginning to feel some type of way about a boy. They are beginning to have crushes. You don't tell an African parent that you like a boy, they'll kill you. My point is, it's so difficult around here, and yet these girls are having these experiences, and they are left to talk about it only with their peers who might not know better, and who might now give them some wrong advice, leading to some risky behavior. What are the consequences? These young girls might just get pregnant early and unintended. Sometimes it can lead to unsafe abortion. Sometimes it can lead to complications that can lead to death. Or she gets pregnant and her parents tell her it's time to drop out of school. Sometimes she remains there, other times they make her marry the person who got her pregnant. And it becomes a child marriage because she's still below 18 and she's forced into marriage because she got pregnant. Not even a harmful cultural practices now that is saying, "Oh, we are marrying you off because we don't want you to go to school." But because she got pregnant and they don't want the embarrassment, they say, "Go get married." So these are the issues. But where is it all coming from? From a lack of safe space where young people can share their puberty experience and talk about what they're going through, or even learn from adults who will tell them that, okay, see, at this age, you're supposed to expect your period. And when it comes, you're now a young woman, you cannot have sex. Tell them what sex is. Growing up, they told us, okay, I was a little lucky. My mom would tell my sister and I that, well, you are not too young to get pregnant now that your period have started. If you get pregnant, you're going to have a baby. And we used to be so scared. Like, what are you talking about? She said, yes. If you can go and have sex, then you can push a baby out. And it used to traumatize us. We were so scared. But then we have friends whose parents will tell them that if a boy touches you, you're getting pregnant. And that is not a factual conversation, right? I met a young lady then, the nurse, Nena. She said that what made her go into this part of teaching young adolescents about their body and menstruation and all of that was because of her mom. Her mom was I think a teacher at the time, and one time she went for training or something, and she was left at home as the oldest child and her younger one at home. And one day, her period started and she went to meet her dad. She just saw blood and she was wondering what's going on. She met her dad, who he just went to a pharmacy, came back and got her something to just put under in her underwear. And apparently what he got for her was the one women who had just had their babies wear. So that means it was really big and it wasn't exactly a sanitary pad for young girls. You know what I mean? It's for women who are just delivered and who are still, bleeding and trying to, and all of that. And she said she couldn't walk. She was until a teacher saw her at school and called her and gave her a proper pad and she put it on. But she said the only thing her mother ever told her before her period started was that one day you're going to see blood. And when it happens, if a boy touches you, you get pregnant. And in her little mind, she said she was about 8 years at the time, and she was like, oh, okay. So after she wore that pad, the proper pad her teacher gave to her, she said a little boy started playing with her. That it started like joke. He was like a hide and seek thing, and she was just hoping he would not touch her because if he touches her, she's going to get pregnant. And this boy started running after her, and he thought they were playing. So the faster she ran, the faster the boy ran after her, thinking it was all games. They were having fun and playing. She kept running like her life depended on it, and the guy ran harder. Eventually, he caught up with her and he touched her, and he was joking, and she started screaming. Out of fear, he ran away, and I think it was the vice principal that called her, "What's going on?" And she was just saying, "I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant." She was screaming. The woman was confused. How can an 8-year-old child be pregnant? Took her to the staff room. I got her to quieten down, and what's going on? And she said a boy touched her, she's pregnant. The woman said, suspecting. Okay, touch you how? That her mother told her that once she starts seeing her period, that if a boy touches her, she's going to get pregnant. And they had a nice laugh at her in the staff room and everything. And they now explained to her that that's not factual. That's not what touch means. And they educated her. And she kept thinking that, why didn't her mother just tell her the truth? Instead of making her experience such a traumatic thing. And for a lot of girls, their first period is always often a traumatic experience because of the shock of just seeing blood, and you don't know where it's coming from, and they don't know how to react because the mother just didn't think they should tell her. I had a friend on campus who told me that she was around 17 years old when her mother started trying to tell her about period. A girl that started her period since the age of 10. She was the last born. She said she had to read through magazines and she knew about it even before the period came, and she just got educated. The day her period came, she just took money, went to get the pad, and she placed it, and she was fine. She knew what to do because she was exposed to magazines. But now imagine if it was a wrong thing she was exposed to. So I feel like parents in this age and time, we can do better. Yes, we know your parents didn't tell you when you were a kid, but now you can do better in making sure that your daughters, your sons know how to handle their puberty experiences. Right. It's an age where girls start to notice boys. I was at an outreach and this girl was asking me that is it okay for her to study, have a male study partner? And I'm like, is it cute? She said laughing. And she laughed. I laughed. And we both knew what it was about. It was a boy she liked. And she was going to use that. So I explained to her, like, see, what you're feeling is normal. You are at the age where you begin to notice boys. Boys are beginning to notice you also. But you don't have to act on it because you are not ready. Then we talked about it. What can be the consequences of not getting ready? She can be coerced or pressurized into having sexual intimacy with a boy when she's not even ready. She doesn't know how to protect herself. And there's also the risk of getting pregnant, right? And dropping out of school. We also talked about sexual STIs, transmitted infections. They are not on the face. Someone with HIV will look normal to you. I helped her. We identified the types of STIs that are there. At the end, we just both agreed that, okay, you're going to wait. Not because you don't feel how you feel, but because you can delay sexual initiation. You can delay having a boyfriend, even if everybody is having it. Then we talked about values. We clarified values, why we should wait, the importance of girls' education and all of that. At the end, she was happy and she knew she was going to do better. Now she's in the higher institution. She's striving, and she's thriving pardon me, she's thriving and she's doing better at school. And we talked about it. Okay, when should you go into a relationship? When you are ready. For now, your education comes first. In Nigeria, the data shows that fewer girls are in school compared to boys. Do you want to join the statistics by getting pregnant? Your parents are doing so much to put you in school. You don't want to jeopardize their effort, right? So these are the kind of conversation we should have with young people without making it judgmental, so that they can be comfortable. So let's create a safe space where young girls can come and meet you and talk to you. I'm experiencing this. What do I do? Okay, my period came twice. Am I in danger? I had one time we went for an outreach and the girl was crying. She said her friends told her she had menstruated for 2 years. Apparently, she started her period on the 28th of December. And of course, it ended on the 2nd of January the following year. And her friends were telling her she menstruated for 2 years. And the concept was wild, and she said crying. And we had to go through that, teaching girls about all these questions so that they don't depend on what their peers are teaching them, right? Teach girls how to take care of their bodies. Sometimes parents get too busy. Sometimes it's feel like they're too busy, but they don't just know how to have the conversation. Uh, I just wrote a book. I'll drop the link in the comment section on how to have conversation with young people, how to improve conversation. See, we are in a digital age where if you don't talk, young people have access to phones these days. Pornography is right there in their faces. Their idols are the popular celebrities who dress in ways you don't like. But they like these people because all their friends like them. And they are not having the conversation with you. And you are not having it with them. So they go with the flow. So it's time for parents to step up, right? That book is so detailed, step-by-step process. See, you can't be a parent and you are proud of the fact that when you enter the living room, all your children disappear out of fear. And you think they can trust you to come and tell you about what they are experiencing, their struggles. Young people are going through so much. Some are going through depression. I met a young girl at school. We're talking about bullying. We're talking about sexual and gender-based violence. And after the class, she called me and she was telling me, she showed me her wrist. What am I looking at? I saw a razor blade mark on her wrist that she was cutting herself. Why? They told her she was too skinny. That's body shaming. So you have to tell your daughters, you are beautiful the way you are. See, colorism is a thing. Young girls who are dark skinned are already going through it. They notice that more people stay at the fair friends than them. So you have to now tell them that black is beautiful. Growing up, I was in the dark skin like my dad. My sister was fair like my mom. And I always hear them have conversations that I could not relate with. My mom noticed it and she called me and she said, telling me about my dark skin that is so smooth. I should make sure I rub my cream, that my skin is smooth. And it gave me that confidence. And she told me, don't ever bleach your skin. So this is the kind of mother I had, and it encouraged me to be confident in my own skin color. So colorism is a thing, body image, even boys have it too. I saw my brother applying spirit on his birds growing up as a teenager. What is it? All his friends were growing birds naturally, and his wasn't coming out yet. So he has started looking for chemicals to apply. So these are issues, body image that boys are going through. Even girls, they are comparing their body development, their puberty experience with other people, their peers. So if you don't have the conversation, it becomes a problem. A friend of mine talked about how her period started at 18 and she was so scared because all her friends started at 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and she was just left there and she didn't know what to do. She knew something was wrong with her. She felt something was wrong with her, nobody to talk to. So these are the issues. These are the conversations we should have with young people. I know this, I cannot exhaust this topic now. I'll be talking about other areas of puberty that young people would like you to address in subsequent sessions, videos. But for now, I'll just remind you, please, if you are a young person, you don't have to be a parent yet. You have teenagers, younger siblings, and your parents never had a conversation with you. Why not do better and help your younger ones? Speak to them, support them, provide them with pads. I met a young girl in the community who she needed pads. She was just tired of using cloth, and she met a guy who told her, okay, that if they can just have sex, he will give her 1,000 naira. And she did, and she got pregnant, and that was the end of it for her. She dropped out to school. So this is the reality for a lot of girls. I met another girl in another community. Period poverty is real. And she was telling me that she sits in buckets of water during her period. She doesn't have, for her, even tissue paper is not recommended, right? It cuts in bits and it can block. You know what I mean? So please, um, I will always say pad, sanitary products is a good gift to give to any young girl around you, especially the one her parents cannot afford it. Support young girls with things like this. Talk to them about hygiene, why they should have their bath, the number of times they should have their bath if they're on their period. Don't shy away from these topics. It's helpful. It can just save a girl's life, right? Thank you so much for hanging with me.